Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at an analysis by the Southern Poverty Law Center. I can't even say that or SPLC without laughing because of the farce that they've become. Now, this was published on November 12th, written by Michael Edison Hayden. And if you look at the title here, far-right extremists heading to Washington amid talk of Trump coup. See, the thing is they want people to believe their little narrative. Basically, what we have here is the scene from My Cousin Vinny, where he's explaining the case, and he's telling his cousin, played by Ralph Macchio, how they're going to try to make a case. They're going to make these bricks look solid, and then they're as thin as this playing card. This is what's going on here with the election, okay, and the results, and this proclaimment, the crowning of creepy, sleepy Uncle Joe as the president-elect, which I love. They can't even legitimately claim things, so it's office of the president-elect when you look at the graphics behind him. But see, they want this idea that it's already in the bag, they've got control. But if you go and you look at the SPLC here, this is clearly about a damage control situation because they know they don't have things in the bag. They know they overextended themselves. See, what happened is when they were saying, will he respect the results of the election in regards to Trump, and asked that over and over, they already had the fix already in. They had already planned. What they didn't plan for was the number of people who came out and voted for Trump. And so that led to them having to just basically try to outright steal the election and hope no one would notice, even though it was blatantly obvious that's what they were doing. So let's get into this here, because this is actually pretty funny how they try to frame things and portray people. I laughed through this and I went, yeah, I need to go through this because it's worth it. A cluster of far-right extremists, including neo-fascists, white nationalists, and militia members, are expected to descend on Washington, D.C. Saturday amidst President Trump's refusal to accept his loss to Democrat Joe Biden in the 2020 election. He hasn't lost, number one. Number two, the press doesn't declare the winner of the election. They don't, anoint the next president. They don't crown him. They don't do squat. The state legislatures certify the votes. Those results are then brought to Washington. They're then taken from that point, your electoral college votes, and bada boom, bada bing, they're certified up at the national level, and you have your next president. Sorry. And the funny thing is, neo-fascists, this is their new thing for a particular male chauvinist drinking club. You'll know that reference, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Far-right turnout could be significant. Pro-Trump protesters have already arrived in thousands at the so-called Stop the Steal event, even those staged in smaller cities like Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Now, what's funny is, see, the so-called Stop the Steal event, they're trying to delegitimize these people saying, oh, hell no, we're not just going to roll over. So it's the so-called Stop the Steal event. Because we have to have the SPLC source funded, help them push the legitimacy of their steal. But hey, whatever. It's funny. It truly is. Pennsylvania. You gotta love it. Pennsylvania, this is, with Harrisburg. They're like, hey, oh no, they're rising up in Pennsylvania. Oh my God, the far-right extremists. Oh no, because they're trying to put fear. They're trying to do damage control. Pro-Trump figures have been promoting the DC event for over a week. The Saturday event also coincides with Trump and his allies espousing increasingly anti-democratic views about his loss. Anti-democratic views, well, no offense, we live in a constitutional republic that has limited democracy. And sorry to break it to you, but there's a slight problem with your theory here. The Constitution lays out how elections are run, how they're handled, like in the case of a contested election, And what they're really scared about is if it reaches the final point of destination with where it would lead to, because they don't want this to be out in courts. If they have to, okay, if things flip, all right, no, not necessarily flip, but let's just say before that point, they're already fighting the recounts. They're trying to do that. And the state legislatures are going, no, we have the power to do that. And Democrats are like, no, you don't. When the state legislatures do, they're like trying to go to court and stop the recounts and the audits, which the Constitution says the state's legislatures will handle that. They're hoping that when these things go to court, like say Pennsylvania, stuff like that, that they'll win on the court level. Now, let's say that they do, for argumentative sake, which Pennsylvania doesn't look like is going to lend for that with all the affidavits. Michigan doesn't look like that with all the affidavits. Let's say that happens. Trump can still contest it. It then goes to the House of Representatives, and one representative from each state, which 32 states are controlled by Republicans, then decide who the president is. And who do you think is going to win at that point? And they're trying to avoid that. They're trying to just say, hey, he's the winner, deal with it, because they don't want to follow the constitutional process. And they talk about, this like anti-democratic view. Sorry, we're a constitutional republic. What democracy is there as part of the constitutional republic does not say that what you want is going to necessarily be the case. But yet, the left never understands these things because they want what they want and they're going to get what they want. The DC protest appears to have 3 titles, all of which appear to represent the same protest. Million MAGA March, a name bastardizing Louis Farrakhan's 1995 Million Man March in Washington. Stop the Steal and March for Trump. Now, here's the thing. They don't like the fact that they're using the Million MAGA March as a thing here at the SPLC. Going, oh no, Louis Farrakhan. What about the Million Mom March? Did the SPLC get all upset and have their panties get into a bunch when the Million Mom March happened? Oh no, that's right, because wasn't it for gun control? Oh, I believe it was. So, yeah. And the thing was, you might actually see with the Million MAGA March, 1 million people in Washington for this. You didn't see that with the with the Million Man March by Farrakhan now, did you? Anyway, Stop the Steal is a reboot of a 2016 project launched by convicted felon Roger Stone to dispute votes in multiracial neighborhoods. Well, first off, he's got his case under appeal, which, yeah, you leave that little tidbit out and that how it was a political prosecution like General Flynn, because you like those things over at the SPLC. And you clearly want to label something here a certain way. So, of course, where does it link to? And I just want to show this. If you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, to the SPLC's own shit. So they say he's something, and then they, for evidence, they use claims that they've made in the past. There's no actual physical proof. You gotta love the SPLC. Okay, anyway. March for Trump is a brand for the event, which was promoted by Fox News' Sean Hannity on Tuesday. Twitter users retweeted Hannity's posts advertising the event over 11,000 times. Wait a minute. Twitter users retweeted Hannity's post advertising the event over 11,000 times in less than 24 hours, offering an indication of potential enthusiasm for the event. He's playing it down right there. Seeing that many retweets, they're actually shitting themselves. They're not sitting there, how do I put this? Calmly relaxing, not worried about the Million MAGA March, Stop the Steal, whatever you want to call it. Whatever you want to call it by. They're at the edge of their seat going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, while they're filling their pants with it. Because they know that their little steal being especially being as blatantly honest. I mean, not honest. Well, honest on the note of like they didn't care. They just did what they want, and it was so open, and it was so transparent that they were stealing, because you're literally watching numbers change right before your eyes, because this isn't the days of, say, 50 or 100 years ago where you could manipulate and screw with numbers and get away with it. Everything's digital. It's instantaneous. So it was so blatant. It was so out there. And because the steal was, so many people were awake to it. I mean, you have almost 70%, I believe it is, of the country not buying the results of the election, which 70% of the country includes people on their side. People on the left, the Democrats, I'm sure that even voted for Biden, are going, whoa, this shit ain't legit. And at least those people have enough moral center and enough moral character to realize that and not try to brush it aside and want their election to be fair and honest. Clearly no one at the SPLC does, though. An Instagram post for an account purporting to speak for the Million MAGA March claims that a number of far-right social media influencers are expected to attend it, potentially bringing their fans with them. Oh no, you mean you actually are going to have popular people, you know, the right of Karl Marx, because to them, far-right these days is the right of Karl Marx. You're actually going to have people showing up that draw a crowd. And that scares them. So they have to portray this the way that they're doing it. They have no choice. Because they need to put the fear in. They need to paint a narrative. This is damage control. The apparent lineup includes One American News Network correspondent Jack Posobiec. Oh no, Jack Posobiec, he's just so radical for the right? I mean, come on now. Whose rise as a public figure tied to the white supremacist movement, male supremacist, and disinformation peddler. Wait a minute. Tied to white supremacist movement. Again, SPLC link for their proof. You gotta love that. Because Jack Posobiec to me is not white supremacist. I've never really seen anything white supremacist come from him. But yet the SPLC, they got to try to label anyone, racist, sexist, misogynist, this, that, and the other thing. Hey, whatever. And then they have, for the next one, male supremacist and disinformation peddler Mike Cernovich. Well, I think he's more a chauvinist, if you want to get technical, but hey, whatever. And he's not really been known for disinformation, but okay. See, the people on the left, they like to go, yep, it's disinformation. Because to them, even factual information is disinformation. What was that reporter on Twitter? I saw like screen caps of it on Parler because I'm permanently banned from Twitter. He basically, people like roasted him because he's like, well, these aren't true and these aren't true and these aren't true, so why is Facebook posting them? How dare they? Take them down type stuff. And they all like reported back with facts, and he goes, well, they can be true, but true information can be part of misinformation. Basically, I'm like, wow. That guy, yeah. I want to say he's, RETAR. Yeah, you get the idea, but I'm going to be nice. I don't know why I'm being nice in this one because, yeah. All right, but he's an idiot. So, next one. And white nationalist live streamer Nick Fuentes. Let that sink in. Nick Fuentes. He's got a Hispanic name. And they're calling him a white supremacist because he's a traditionalist. He wants, he's not like Richard Spencer or anything like that. But yeah, he wants traditional America. He's a young guy that wants a more traditional United States. I don't know if you would necessarily say he wants 1950s, but he wants more traditional. And then this is the next one. Where is it? Oh, wait, it's further down. Sorry. Those three men have roughly 2 million Twitter followers combined, not accounting for people who follow all three personalities, or two or three, or two of the three. See, this is the thing. Because the left equates the real world to Twitter. Them having 2 million Twitter followers really scares them because they think that Twitter is the real world. They don't realize, when they're pushing this, that this is like the idea of like Howard Stern before he sold out, became this sleazy little weasel that he is. Like the idea of like when he was on WNBC. And they talk like that I don't know if how much of it's fictionalized, but supposedly this did happen with the guy that was supposed to corral him there, pig vomit. Finding out about the ratings, because he's even recounted it, I guess. But he finds out about the ratings, okay? And he asks, and he finds out that Howard Stern has the highest watch time. And he's like, well, why? Well, the people who like him, they want to hear what he says next. And then he tells them it's like 2 hours or 2.5 hours they listen. And then he asks, well, what about the people who hate him? Well, most given answer, they want to hear what he has to say next. And then he completely blows Pig Vomit's mind by saying, look, they listened to for 3.5 hours. And he's like, well, why? Or it was the other way around. He tells them the times and then he asks them why. But the point being, a lot of those people, you're talking about lefty, far lefty, looking for stuff to try to cancel people, Twitter. A lot of those people that follow them are also like people on your side of the false left-right paradigm here. You know, over at the SPLC. They're like you. You know, you say, well, they got over 2 million followers. Well, clearly, you got to be following them. People at the SPLC got to be following them. The lefty cancel culture has got to be following them, looking for any little thing they can use to try to get them removed. But I'm sure the bulk of their followers are actual followers. But still, the real world doesn't, revolve around, or actually more appropriately, isn't reflective of Twitter. It really isn't. So deal with it. They got 2 million Twitter followers. Oh no, people might actually show up and show that this is a sham and you can't keep the bottle, the lid on the bottle. Calling all patriots. It's MAGA night at the White House. Nick Fuentes wrote to Twitter on November 7th about Saturday's event. Oh no. He said it's MAGA night at the White House. What does that mean? Is that like ladies' night? MAGA people, they get like free drinks at the White House? Or like half off or something? That's really controversial, isn't it? The flyer also lists as attendees anti-immigrant pundit Michelle Malkin of VDare. Now, here's the thing. She's not anti-immigrant. She wants, like, say, from the world where you have truck drivers of peace, for people to be vetted before they come in the country. She wants to have legal immigration. Okay? She wants to have it so people have to actually, come across the border legally instead of sneaking across it. Heaven freaking forbid. These people are ridiculous. Jaden McNeil, a Kansas State student and live streamer known in part for making racist comments, this one, oh my God, they actually used AP News. But yeah, AP News is real credible these days. When literally moments before Rudy Giuliani is about to expose the fraud, at a press conference, they declare creepy sleepy Uncle Joe as president. They were like the first one to do it too. But anyway, making racist comments, and Scott Presler, formerly of the anti-Muslim hate group Act for America. You got to love how they label, just toss all these labels around. It's all about identifying people in these particular fashions, in a particular light, because they're scared. And they want to try to make it sound like this is like one of those places, because this will be used as proof of what the Million MAGA March, Stop the Steal, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're calling it by. They're going to use the SPLC's framing here, their analysis, to try to portray the event a certain way, which is another reason why I decided to cover this. It's also another reason why I'm not doing my all filters off, foul mouth language thing that I normally do. That's part of my shtick. Because this is something serious. Because this is them laying the groundwork for trying to portray this a certain way with what's going to happen. Because you know, they always go to the SPLC. Social media is going to go to the SPLC. Okay? They're going to use like this type of analysis to start banning people, to start censoring posts of this event. You know it. I know it. The SPLC is Soros funded, and they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that the globalist scumbag, creepy, sleepy Uncle Joe, who can't keep his hands to himself when there's a young girl around, and I'm not talking like 18, obviously. I'm talking way younger than that. All right? They're going to do everything to run cover. And right here, this is them scared. This is them trying to get ahead of what's going on. It truly is. Cassandra Fairbanks, a far-right extremist who blogs for the junk news website Gateway Pundit, has also promoted the event. Well, sorry, but I hate to break it to you, especially these days, the Gateway Pundit has been way more accurate, way more an actual news outlet than the legacy media, who just anointed Joe and isn't looking into all these affidavits or anything. They're actually doing that. They're actually having numbers crunched, you know, with the results and finding things don't line up. And you want to say that they're a junk news website? Excuse me? I guess junk news website these days is actual news. Because that's what it seems like when they try to say that, you know, something's a tabloid or a shit news site, you know, or something like that along those lines. They're the ones usually reporting the stuff that you should be paying attention to. New York Post, oh yeah, they're just a tabloid, nothing to see here, and they go and block it. Streisand effect as a result. They don't understand this. See, they think they can control this and not have a problem. But with what happened with this election, it created a situation where they are screwed. They caused a mass exodus from the Silicon Valley's supposed platforms. They have no control over those other places they went to, like Parler, Gab, Minds. On the note of, say, video, BitChute, Rumble, which Rumble to me looks like it's just going to end up being another YouTube. And yeah, to me, that one just, even though it'll be supposedly a free speech place, to me, that looks like it's going to go the route of YouTube, because they were more concerned with getting their advertising stuff square than they actually were with like bringing in talent. And yeah, BitChute, on the other hand, okay, worked on the fact of creating the site, getting something that people will come to. And right now they're looking at the community, you know, for funding through membership, stuff like that. They have less overhead when it comes to streaming content, everything else. And yeah, so, but yeah, anyway, that's off on a tangent. But yeah, people are going to Rumble, BitChute, you know, for video. Even Odyssey, which is, you know, the new front end for library, and they're going to library as well. People are going to alternatives. There's been a mass exodus. People are getting their information from beyond the scope of the bubble of Silicon Valley, which is another thing that scares them, which I'm going to be doing another video. It might be one of my filters off ones. I'm not sure. It's one of those iffy ones because it's like the stupidity is ripe in it. It's from like PJ Media. And they have no grasp of the situation being what it really is. The title just gives it away that like they're clueless. And yeah, anyway. So, you know, she's also promoted the event, Big Whoopee. The highly trafficked Gateway Pundit has also pushed the false assertion that Trump is winning in the 2020 election since polls closed on November 3rd. Well, excuse me.
here you are saying, oh, the assertion that Trump is winning. So what you're saying is the election isn't over. We got a little slip here by the SPLC. They're kind of admitting the election isn't over. That Kamala Harris hasn't cackled and sang. So, yeah, nice try. And this thing is a false assertion. When you look at all the states that are now going to have audits and everything else that the Democrats are trying to stop, Joe isn't in the office of president-elect. He isn't the president-elect. He isn't shit. Seriously. Yet you can kind of admit it, but not to yourselves completely. You're in denial. Well, you're not in denial. You're kind of in denial. It's like semi-denial. You think you might be able to pull the steal off. Anyway, street brawlers are also expected to attend. Members of the violent neo-fascist group, the Proud Boys, published a virtual flyer on the right-wing social media website, Parler, on Tuesday, urging members to attend. See, because since Tario took over, okay, they can't label them as a white supremacist organization. So now they've done a little word salad, and they came up with neo-fascist. That's what I'm talking about. That was what I was talking about with like the title. They're the neo-fascists. A male, traditional male, chauvinist drinking club that goes and will defend people from Antifa and other left-wing retards. I probably shouldn't use that word if I'm going to... Well, algorithm-wise, that'll screw me. But it's not a bad word. Yeah, I'll call them retards. But because they'll defend people from them, they're a neo-fascist group, because they should just allow for people to have this, the ever-loving you-know-what beat out of them, to be stabbed, to be assaulted. Give me a break. Oh, no, the Proud Boys said that people should attend. Trump infamously suggested that the Proud Boys stand back and stand by during a contentious televised debate with Biden held at the end of September, which was a slip of the tongue, okay? It was not what he actually meant. He meant to say, stand back and stand down. And all of you people have tried to ride this as something legitimate since he said it. And what's funny is the Proud Boys looked at it as a joke. You people take this seriously. And the Proud Boys are memeing the ever-loving shit out of it. They're loving it. They're thinking it's the biggest friggin' joke. They're having a field day with it. I mean, they love Trump, but it was funny. And their memes were funny. But see, you got a problem with that. So yeah, during the contentious televised debate where Biden held at the end of September, you mean the 2-on-1 debate? With Chris Wallace and Biden, interrupting Trump left and right, that you guys try to play it as Trump interrupted him when they both started it. Okay. An account representing the anti-government militia group 3%ers Original published a similar flyer to Parler around the same time. Steve Rhodes, leader of the militaristic far-right anti-government group, the Oath Keepers, have contributed commentary to the far-right conspiracy website InfoWars in the run-up to the election, advocating the use of violence to vanquish perceived enemies of Trump. Oh, God. So they linked to Media Matters on this one, which, the guy from the Oath Keepers didn't do that. They're trying to say anti-government when the Oath Keepers are about the Constitution and the government being confined to the constraints of the Constitution. I'm sorry, but if wanting your government to follow its governing doctrine, the highest laws of the land in the Constitution, is anti-government, I guess I'm anti-government too. Because I want the government to be held to what the Constitution says that it can and cannot do. I guess that makes me anti-government these days. At least according to the mentality and statements that are here, with the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Oath Keepers are promoting the event through the group's website, writing, "Oath Keepers and Patriots, duty calls. We must all march on Washington, D.C. and directly back up and defend President Trump as he fights against the ongoing coup that is attempting to steal the election. Start rolling toward D.C. now. See, they don't also like the fact that the coup's being called out. They don't like that at all. I wouldn't either, if I was a Soros little lackey punk. I mean, the man pays my bills. I got to keep Mr. Soros happy if I was one of them. InfoWars performers, including its founder, Alex Jones, and host Owen Schroyer, are also promoting the DC event and are expected to attend. Oh no, Alex Jones, the guy that you've tried everything to do. You and Media Matters and Oliver Darcy and CNN and Democrats. You people have done everything you can to try to silence him. And he still gets a higher viewership than CNN, MSNBC, and you can't deal with that. So heaven forbid he go there, because he has a lot of people who actually, watch his show, that listen to him on the radio. And you don't like that. Oh no, Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer. Oh, God. Jones and Cernovich appeared at a protest event in Phoenix in the immediate aftermath of the election, where people in the crowds carried guns. Oh, no. They're legally allowed to open carry on the street and do, which is pretty much Arizona. You can watch people walking down the street with guns. You're going to have a problem with that? When they're exercising constitutional rights, their right to free speech and their right to bear arms. Were they being violent? No. Did they cause any problems? No. Did they brandish weapons? No. Did they do anything with those weapons besides stand there? No. Although some extreme far-right groups and personalities expected to attend embrace the open display of guns at protest events, Washington, D.C. forbids people from doing so. Well, here's the thing, you idiot. You're talking about the people who legally own and possess firearms. They're not going to just show up in a place where they're not legal and openly brandish them or, open carry. They're not going to do anything like that. Yet you got to try to make it sound like they would. Gun enthusiast and newly elected Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, Republican Georgia, tweeted about the event Thursday and indicated she plans to attend. Oh, look at now we got to try to go after Greene here. Greene has been linked to QAnon in the past, but disavowed those beliefs earlier this year on Fox News. Joey Gibson, leader of the far-right group Patriot Prayer, whose members have engaged in street violence throughout the Trump era, published a video to Twitter urging his followers on that website to attend. Gibson's commentary suggests a kind of all-hands-on-deck approach to the filling up the streets in D.C. on Saturday, and that's what they're afraid of. And this thing of far-right group Patriot Prayer. So you're a conservative, a constitutionalist, and religious. Makes you far right these days. Okay. I guess because if someone attacks you that's a soy boy, a little 90-pound weakling, and they try to wolf pack you and you beat the snot out of them, defending yourself, I guess that kind of makes you a far-right extremist too, because you should just bend over, okay, curl up in the fetal position and let them kick the ever-loving snot out of you. See, this is about damage control. They're trying to create a narrative here. They know the legacy media is going to pick this up. And they're going to use excerpts from it, okay? And it's going to sell it because, oh, look at the SPLC. They said this. Seriously. Again, I'm asking everybody who can, okay, everybody show up to Washington, D.C., especially if you're on the East Coast, especially if you're within driving distance of D.C. Be there, guys. Gibson implored his followers in the video. Despite the degree to which far-right social media influencers have supported the D.C. protest event, not everything has gone smoothly in its rollout. Pro-Trump activist Amy Kremer posted on Twitter on Tuesday that the event promotion website, Eventbrite, stopped working with organizers of the March for Trump rally. Yes. See, heaven forbid they call out the fact of, a Silicon Valley company being really shady and saying, well, we're not going to let you use our site for organizing this. But they'll let, I'm sure this site, I'm not positive, but I'm sure they would allow Antifa or BLM to do something, to organize, to loot, burn, assault people and stuff like that. But when you organize to contest a steal of an election, well, you can't do that. She accused tech companies of trying to shut down our march. Kremer also appeared on OANN with Prosovic this week to promote the event and said that there are thousands who are coming. Right, there's going to be thousands. You've got trucks coming from across the country, truck drivers, independent truck drivers. See, they don't want to talk about this because it doesn't fit their narrative. You've got independent truckers going to Washington for this. There are convoys of them going to Washington. There's videos of it out there. This isn't how they're portraying it, but they're trying to get ahead and create a narrative. See, they're scared. This is damage control because they thought, oh, well, Republicans, people who voted Republican before, just like the party, they've been spineless and they've bent over and they've taken it. And because you've got Trump there to be the spine of the party, and they're standing up to the Democrats, and the American people are standing up, like I said, they're shitting themselves. They truly are shitting themselves. Despite Kremer's boast, a spokesperson for the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department confirmed to Hate Watch that no one had sought a permit for the event. Oh, well, of course, to Hate Watch. Far left, Marxist type organization. Yeah. Identity politics loving, cancel culture loving. Yeah, okay. And you don't need a permit to peaceably assemble. They're just going to show up. What are you going to do? Because that's what it sounds like to me. They're just showing up. Screw you. The spokesperson told Hate Watch department officials are aware of the online discussion around the protest and are monitoring and assessing the situation for potential security threats. Yes, because it's going to be those people that are going to be the security threats. It's not going to be the Antifa and BLM thugs that are going to show up there and start shit and assault people. No, it's going to be the people that are there to protest the theft of the election that are going to watch, because DC's a left shithole. That's what's going to end up happening. They're going to try to portray this as the other side started it. We're innocent while they're kicking people in the head. Seriously. It'll be that type of situation. The police have also preemptively published a traffic advisory based upon the expectation that something will happen. Meanwhile, Ali Alexander, a man who traffics in disinformation on Twitter, has used that website to try to expand the protests to other cities. He urged people who cannot make the DC protest on Saturday to show up and demonstrate Trump's election loss at every state capital starting at noon. Now, this is what's funny. They make these claims. They have no proof. They don't give any examples. The examples they give, okay, are from other Soros organizations, like, funded organizations like Media Matters or themselves. And they're trying to push this narrative. They think they can sell this. Excuse me, I need a sip of a drink. They think they can sell this. But here, moving on. Stirring up the mob. While Trump's fans on the far right coordinate a street-level response to his loss to Biden, the president and his allies have also increasingly embraced actions and rhetoric that signal an unwillingness to accept his defeat, because his defeat hasn't been accepted. Because the media claimed he's lost does not make it true. Just because you're claiming he lost does not make it true. And you keep trying to say it's far-right fans. These people are not far-right, most of the people that are going there. They're just conservatives. But I guess, with how you look at things, as I said, anything right of Marx is far-right these days to you. Some commentators have described Trump's rejection of the election results as a big part of a coup attempt. Oh, God. Because, yeah, there has been an attempted coup going on. The steal was way too obvious. People will not accept this rigged election, Trump tweeted on Tuesday night, responding to right-wing social media performer Scott Adams suggesting that people were being brainwashed to accept the results of Biden's electoral college and popular vote win. Excuse me. You got lawsuits in Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan. You have audits, pretty much Michigan. All right, the audit, Republican-controlled legislature, they're calling for it. It's going to happen. Pennsylvania, same deal. Georgia, it's going on. All right, Nevada and Arizona, it's going to happen. He hasn't won. You can claim it all you want. Okay, and if you take with all the affidavits, all the fraudulent votes, all the illegal votes, I'm going to bet, I generally am not a betting man. But I would bet on the fact that Trump probably won the popular vote besides the Electoral College. And the reason why I say that is because he was leading in the popular vote before everyone went to bed, and then you started trucking in ballots, you know, not you directly at the SPLC, but people that, you know, I'm sure that you know, like on the note of people higher up at the SPLC, because this is a coordinated effort with all the stuff going on here. But hey, whatever. Meanwhile, the New York Times reported on Tuesday that officials in dozens of states representing both political parties told the paper that there was no evidence that fraud or other irregularities played a role in the outcome of the presidential race. Well, what's funny is they went to the states in question, and you have Democrats going, oh, nothing to see here. They went to a state that was controlled by a Republican that was not one of these swing states, that was not an issue, and they went, well, I don't really see anything. And that's their proof. That's their proof of this. Going to these Democrats that pulled the fucking sham. Oh, sorry. That's going to be the only one in this. But pulled the sham, because I'm trying to keep this clean. But they pulled the sham. And they're seriously asking the people who pulled it, any voter fraud? Oh, no. That would be like literally a guy walking down the street, okay, with someone's, you know, flat panel, 4K TV, you know, strapped to their back, a bunch of things from the house, the person's Xbox, all this other stuff, okay? Cops rolling up on them and going, yeah, did you see who broke into that house? No, officer. No, I didn't. All right, have a good night. That's what that comes down to. It's that type of analogy. And they think that's credible. The Times reporting cuts against repeated claims not made only by Trump, but also by the groups and social media personalities expected to appear in D.C. on Saturday. What about the hundreds of affidavits, 247 in Michigan, I believe it is, or is it 247 in Pennsylvania? But there's hundreds and hundreds of them between both states, like many hundreds, of people who witnessed the screw job going on. But whatever. They have repeatedly made unsubstantiated claims that Democrats stole the election from President Trump or are trying to destroy the country. Both accounts are true, but whatever. The Republic will die if you don't show up in D.C. or at your state capitol on Saturday at noon, your local time. Ali Alexander tweeted on Monday. Oh, no. See, this is what really scares them. They honestly are afraid that people are going to show up at the state capitals, okay? They're going to show up en masse in Washington. And it's not only going to be the people on the right, your conservatives, it's going to be the independents showing up that voted for Trump. It's going to be the Democrats that showing up that voted for Trump, that saw the steal happen. Okay, it's going to be Democrats who looked at the election and went, nah, man, this ain't legit, because they didn't have the level of cognitive dissonance that they tried to create here, where they could ignore something like that. That's what scares them. They know people showing up in large numbers are going to go and destroy their narrative. Anyway, I've talked way too long here. So I've gone through this. It's said and done. So I'm just going to leave things here.
If you liked this video, depending on where you are watching it, please give it an upvote or thumbs up. If you want to know when new content of mine hits the internet, don't forget to subscribe to one or more of my social media or video accounts listed here. Also, with YouTube, don't forget to ring that bell. You can find all of my video content on both BitChute and YouTube. This may not be the case with other places I upload to, but I will try to minimize this happening. You are always welcome to interact with me at any of these sites on the list, so feel free to do so. If you have anything you want me to cover in a video when it comes to news or current events, send it right along to me. I will try to do my best to cover it. As always, thank you for watching.